Welcome, everyone, to the Strengths Champion podcast. I'm your host, Brent O'Bannon. We are called to champion strengths around the world for human flourishing. And today we are going to celebrate the International Women's Day with a person that has become not only a great friend, but mentor and also someone that I believe many of you will be inspired by. Dr. Rama Yelkur is the business dean of the College of Business at Texas Women's University. And also, I want to just highlight what her top 5 strengths are: strategic, achiever, learner, activator, and yes, woo. Dr. Rama, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Brent, for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And I can't think of anyone else I'd rather be interviewing and learning more from than you. So thank you for making time to be here. And as we get started, first of all, I would love for you to just share with people, how do you use your strengths in your leadership style?
Good question. I use it daily and I use it always, all through the day. I never forget who I am, where I'm coming from. Not only am I using my strengths, I'm also leveraging my team's strengths as I progress through my day, my job, my life, my everything that I do. So I never forget that my top strength is strategic, um, and that's how I think. In other words, I will. I'll want to plan for the end result of any of my actions or other people's actions in advance. In other words, I would want to know what could be the outcome of
Mm-hmm.
a decision, action, my day, and I want to be prepared for it. So I'm already looking from A to Z and looking at the outcome. So that's how I think. But I also know that the people I work with don't think that way, may not think that way because their strengths lie elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that, and I keep I'm mindful of other people's strengths and where they lie, and that my number one strength is strategic, and that's how I operate, both in my personal life and professional life, and that is never out of sight, out of mind for me.
If someone had strategic and you were to give them some best practices or wisdom to develop it even better, what would you say to them?
Well, it's an interesting question. You have it naturally, and you have it in degrees, right? Some people have it very strong. Some people have it, have it, but there are other influencing factors in the strategic strength. So what I would say is that pay close attention to your strategic strength, because sometimes it could overwhelm other people because you tend to ask a lot of questions, um, and you can be a planner. You can have a plan. You can have a structure. You can have a lot of things, but give it to other people in smaller doses because not everybody has that big vision that you have. So that's my biggest advice I would give to people.
And that's true with all strengths, is that we have to learn how to manage them so that we're, as I say, driving the right strength at the right speed at the right time. And that's mastery. And obviously, you're a leader of mastery, and learner is number 3 for you. So give us a little picture of learner at work in you.
It's That's a good question. Most people in academics are learners. We started out as professors, and the reason that you are a professor is because not just to teach students, because while you teach, you learn the best when you teach. So
Mm,
so that's inherent in us. It's a quality that we all come with, and that's why we are in this profession. Of course, I'm in the administrative role, but I'm a professor at heart, and so I learn every day. I learn every day and every moment, and I'm taking away notes, mental notes, or I'm jotting it down in my notes on my phone. When I hear or learn something, it's I never think it's a bad thing to be learning. And how I handle this is that in my leadership style, I'm not afraid to say I don't know, and that's because I'm a learner. And I say I don't know, I'll find out. Um, and I don't think that's either embarrassing or something detrimental to my leadership style. People have now found out, they'll ask me to solve problems, and I was like, I don't know the answer to this, but I'll find out.
mm,
And with my other strengths, such as Woo and the Activator, I have the connections, and I can reach out to people and ask the right questions. And in the process of asking those questions, I am learning, and I'm learning. It's like my learning will never stop.
mm, mm. And something I've been learning lately is the myth of learning styles, and we're discovering that we have learning preferences. However, all of us can learn in different ways to achieve a goal. And you just described you learn by interacting with people. And I know you're a reader and researcher as well. What is on your nightstand at the moment, so to speak, of what you're learning about?
It's an interesting question. I it's You might find this odd, but I like to um, learn about leadership and be introspective about my leadership, and introspective as a person, and continuously improve and reflect. So Kouzes and Posner is one of my favorite authors
Mhm.
on leadership. um, I also am reading Raj Sisodia's Conscious Capitalism,
Mm.
so that
Mhm.
I feel that what we do as business schools, and the kind of societal impact we make as a capitalistic society is extremely important. As businesses and business schools, we have a strong influence on society. And to me, that's part of our accreditation journey in the College of Business. So I'm delving deeper into conscious capitalism. So those are things. And the other book that is on my nightstand is called My Life is Full,
Mm.
My Life in Full by Indira Nooyi, the former CEO of Pepsi.
Yeah, I can hear and only imagine your achiever. Make sure your life is full all the time. We, you and I share that alike, achiever in our top five. And let's get to know the Rama on the journey. Give us a summary of how you have grown, from early on, maybe even as a child or early teens, until now in your leadership role.
It's 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 a tough question, because I haven't documented everything, or my memory may not be sequential. I think I was a high achiever even as a child or as a teenager, and had aspirations to get a terminal degree, as such as a PhD in a field that I chose to pursue. At that time, I didn't know what field I would choose to pursue. I started out in the STEM fields like mathematics. That was my
Mm.
undergraduate degree, and realized that I'm not interested in getting a PhD in mathematics, because my strengths, even then, my interests and strengths lied elsewhere. It's not solving math problems on the board, teaching people mathematics. So I went on to business and marketing, and felt that that's where my strengths are. And I was right. My assessment was right. That was during my undergraduate days, and so went on to get an MBA and then a PhD in business with a concentration in marketing. But my quantitative background in mathematics served me well. It
Mm.
gave me that logical way of thinking, very grounded in my decisions, those kinds of things. So anyway, as I progressed through completing my graduate degrees, I was thinking of going into industry. However, my professors said, "Hey, listen, you should go into teaching because you're good at it, and this is what PhDs do, and all of the above." And I had worked uh, in my family-owned business
Mm.
for a few years before I got my PhD.
Mm.
So I decided to plunge in and become a professor of marketing, assistant professor of marketing, and then grew in the ranks and moved five universities, and the last three being as the dean of the College of Business in Michigan, New York, um, and now in Texas. So the journey from professor to an administrative leader. I think everybody's a leader in their own rights,
Mm.
because you don't need a title to be a leader. You lead in some way or form or fashion, and that's what I tell all my employees, that you're all leaders. Tell me where you lead. What is your passion? So I felt like I was leading even as a faculty member. I had my interests. I found out very early on that I had interest in administration and leadership roles in an academic setting. And um, 11 years ago, when the opportunity came up, people encouraged me to move up and move out of the organization to move up in order to move up.
Mm.
And when I
Mhm.
took my first deanship, I knew at that moment I loved it. And so
Mhm.
um, it allowed me to make a bigger difference and a bigger impact on students, on the next generation,
Mm.
and on higher education.
I noticed that on your LinkedIn profile, which is a great place for people to connect with Dr. Rama Yelkur. And you had put that you're making or getting it done for the next generation. Help us understand what you mean by that.
For example, I talked about conscious capitalism and societal impact, right?
Mhm.
So we need to be concerned as businesses and business schools as we are producing these next generation of business leaders, because these people are going to run our businesses and run our economy. Some are going to be CEOs, mid-level managers, whatever role they take, um, whatever they do is going to have an impact on society in the long term.
Mhm.
And so to be mindful of what we leave these people, how we prepare them for jobs that don't exist tomorrow, right? Providing them the right tools and the skill sets, the personal and professional development. And that's what I like giving them the cutting edge knowledge, and not about a discipline, but about the tools that they can take with them to be the best employee and run the business of tomorrow. So
Mm.
that's what I mean for getting it done for the next generation.
And of course, we just have celebrated the International Women's Day in 2024. What would you say to women specifically about how to develop themselves as leaders?
It's important to continuously develop yourself, whether you're an established leader, you've been in the business for a decade or 2 years, or you're just starting out. Always important to either have some self-development goals, or um, hire a mentor, or have mentors, have a board of directors to support you, anything that makes people, whichever way people want to address that. But you're going to have to, in your role as a leader, develop daily and develop continuously, develop, reflect. That you need that reflection to get better. You need that reflection of yourself, your style. Reflect on the day and say, hey, I could have done this differently.
Mm-hmm.
Or just take notes on the day, even if you um, don't have a formal coaching process, or if you don't have a formal mentorship process. Even those daily note taking helps.
One of the things that comes to mind as I've got to know you is you really lean in, which is the title of the book by Sheryl Sandberg. And literally you lean in by going to serve on boards and to volunteer and to sit in places where you can use that woo, you can use your communication and influence. What would you say to those women out there about growing that part of their skills?
It takes time, and it takes a lot of help from a lot of people.
Mm,
So
mm,
we as women should pay it forward. Like, for example, it's my role to amplify the next woman's, my colleagues,
mm,
my women colleagues' voices, and say, hey, listen, let me. I don't mean this as a criticism. Just like men do to each other, put an arm on their shoulder and say, hey, let me take you to this event,
mm,
and let me introduce you to some people. And those things should happen more often, among women. And there are many women, even surrounding us in North Texas. There are many powerful women who are business owners, who are leaders, who are board members, who have tremendous influence in a lot of sectors. And there are others as well that are growing up in the ranks. And it's important for this group to network, to
mm,
support, to
mhm,
amplify voices. Um, and yes, it is for somebody who wants to be in a leadership role. It's important for them to lean in as well. But you need to know when, where,
mm,
how to lean in, right? Because Sheryl Sandberg also says, sometimes women go to other women and say, will you be my mentor? And you can't just keep doing that to people, because
mm,
mentorship has to happen naturally. Like, somebody needs to put their arm around you and say, hey, listen, let me help you with this. And I've done that to people.
mhm,
um, Let me help you with this. And well, that could be a man or woman. If I felt like they needed the support, I would do that. So leaning in has to be has to be strategic as well.
mm,
I'm smiling because leaning in has to be strategic. You can't just overdo it, and then your voice really is not going to be heard.
mm. Yeah, I can hear that strategic wisdom right there. When you talk about the life of women and leadership, obviously you have many roles as a wife, a mother, you're a dean, you're a transformational leader, and a volunteer. How in the world do you manage all of these roles and parts of your life?
I don't sleep. No, I'm just kidding. So
You don't need sleep. You're a high achiever.
no, it is very important to sleep and take care of you and your health. And this realization didn't come very easy to me or early in my leadership career. I became a dean when my daughter was starting middle school, so
Mm,
it was balancing a young family, um, everything that you say, being a wife, mother, dean of a business school, and and a leader,
mm,
and also playing your role in society as
mm,
developing other women, right? Women, um, underrepresented populations, all of that, um, which I've been doing. So sometimes you have to stop and think, and sometimes it takes a harsh reality check to for you to stop and think. There is no work-life balance initially. You're just running, running, running. I was eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner outside, and accepting because of my woo a lot of rubber chicken dinners. They're all they're all good networking events, but it's the same rubber chicken everywhere. It's like that's what I call them, and um, and spending very little time with the family or home. And I decided that I needed to create boundaries.
Mm,
Um, it
mm,
is very important to take care of you, your health, your well-being. So whether it's working out or exercise or yoga or meditation, you need mind and body. So it's not just going to exercise, but these days, in order to survive and have peace of mind, you need to do yoga or meditation or something that calms you and takes you away from your normal hectic life. And so I do all of that, and that is how I'm able to keep standing and keep going and being there for both my family and my workplace.
yeah, you just gave us the secret for resilience as leaders who typically are high achievers. And we have to put that oxygen mask on first and model that to the next generation. And you see that now in the younger generation, Gen Z, where they see the need for self-care and self-compassion. So thank you for reminding us of that. Curious who might be a mentor that you just want to give a shout out to out there that has been a blessing to you.
It's it's that's a tough one,
Mm,
and I I hate to share this information, but I did not have a formal mentor or an informal
mm,
mentor in
mm,
my entire leadership career, and
mm,
that is why I want. It's more important for me to pay it forward and pay back.
mm,
It's I don't want anyone to be left out there all alone. Um, and climbing that ladder alone, climbing those hills and hurdles, alone. um, I have to say that my husband, spouse, at home has been the rock and the biggest support that I've ever had. I
mm,
wouldn't say it's mentorship, but at least with his support and hanging on to him, I was able to overcome a lot of hurdles.
mm.
And leadership is not a smooth journey. There are
Yeah,
ups and downs,
yeah.
and um, so eventually, what I did was, because I didn't have a specific mentor, it is one person I'll give a shout out to. When I was not a dean yet, she said, it was a faculty colleague in Wisconsin, at another school. She told me, "You're ready to be a dean, and you need to start applying and considering being a dean because you'll make a great dean."
Mm,
So to me, that that is somebody I would call close to a mentor or an advocate. And the
mhm,
first vice president provost that hired me as a dean in Michigan um, put his faith in me and believed that I could do it. He then became the president of the university. His name is Don Bashand, and he retired as the president about a year ago. And I'm still in touch with him.
mm,
And he told me something that I pass on to the next generation. He said, "Rama, failure is not in your DNA," and I
mm,
still remember that. And I still give owe him a lot of respect, gratitude for putting his faith in me and believing that I could do this job as a first time dean.
mm. Wow, that is so inspirational. First of all, thank you for being confidently vulnerable that you really didn't have formal mentor. And, in wrapping up today, one thing that I would love is to give some feedback to men out there, men in organizations. How can we support? How can we encourage? How can we amplify that leadership potential in other women? What would you say to us men?
I think that we can't do it alone. I mean, men are allies. And if we are in a room, men, women, if my male colleagues or male colleagues of a female colleague see something happen, or a person's a woman colleague's voice ignored, and you go around the table and people didn't listen to her, or somebody else said the same thing and it was amplified, it is very critical that the men speak up. We can't do this alone. We need you as allies. It's not just women lifting up women, but men standing silent is the worst thing you can do. If
Mm.
you observe something, you need to speak up. It's you don't think this is like a feminist thing or anything like that. It's helping a colleague, as you would help a male colleague. I think men, they start thinking about helping a woman colleague or a female colleague. When you notice something, speak up for them, with them, together. That's what I would say, because we need allies. And it's not just women speaking up for women. Only when the entire society works towards accelerating progress by investing in women, which is the tagline this year for International Women's Day, will the society progress.
Powerful allies. Yes. And by the way, I think us men need female allies as well that can help sharpen us to be better in our leadership. So we need each other, to make this
Absolutely.
world a better place. And the world is a better place because of you, Dr. Rama, not only at TWU, but also everywhere. People listen to you. By the way, I think you've got at least one or two books in you as well.
We'll talk about it. So when I have the time, if I can make the time.
One more thing to put on your
Yes.
list, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, keep being a champion of strengths. You are doing a wonderful job of building your team and helping people to understand strengths at TWU, especially in the College of Business. So any last words that you might leave us with today?
Hey, listen, today's a present. It's a gift. So, enjoy every moment, live in the present, because and every day gives you an opportunity for a fresh start. So don't worry about mistakes you've made. Keep moving and keep having fresh starts every day. That's my advice.
Well said. Thank you so much, Dr. Rama. And to everyone else, tune in each week to the Strengths Champion podcast, and we will help you to grow stronger, work smarter, and lead wiser. Take care, everyone. See you next time.